friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. You probably have seen the headlines all about the House voting on two cooties-related bills. And I know I was applauding as you were, most likely, but I do want to let you know that there's bad news and there's also good news when it comes to the healthcare professionals. That was one of the bills that was passed by the House. Let me know in a comment below if you think the Democrat-controlled Senate is going to pass that. And if it does, do you think that the person occupying the White House is going to sign that bill into law? So let's talk about that, because I also want to give you some how-to solutions. I've got an amazing letter that I want to share with you from a Healthy American about how she has navigated the workplace and the healthcare setting, and she has been successful using my strategies. So I'm going to share that with you a little bit later. And before we dive in, let me know if you are a healthcare professional, if you have been to a hospital. I hope you haven't. And if you have had any difficulty in terms of all of these ridiculous measures. I'm going to give you a few more tips and strategies. And before we do that, let me give a big thank you to the sponsor of this evening's video. We are hopping right on over to noblegoldinvestments.com. They've been with me from the beginning. And thank you to everyone that has been giving me feedback. You've made the free phone call to get information and education without any hard sell, no obligation at all. So did you know, according to Noble Gold Investments, that gold was actually the best performing asset in 2022 through all of the record-breaking inflation rates, the crashing markets, the crypto scams that you've probably heard of? There is one asset that has held its own, and that is gold. And Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of clients buy real physical gold last year. According to longtermtrends.net, gold outperformed the S&P 500, the Dow, and even Bitcoin in 2022. And if you had invested in the S&P 500 a year ago, according to this data, you would be down more than 20%. If you invested in Bitcoin a year ago, they say that you would be down more than 65%. And if you had invested in the Dow a year ago, their data says you would be down almost 10%. So gold, yes, has outperformed them all in 2022, and silver was not far behind. So what are you waiting for? You can join the thousands of others by opening up a gold IRA or a silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments. Invest with Noble Gold Investments before the end of the month, and you are going to get, I want to share this, I want to show this to you. It is a free, well, it's valuable, but they are going to give it to you for free. It is a 1/4 ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualified IRA of $50,000 or more. I just checked the gold price per ounce. I think it's like $1,650 as of today. Anyhow, you cannot go wrong with Noble Gold Investments, and there are thousands of 5-star reviews. If you are not ready to invest, just download the Noble Gold Investments Gold Investment Guide. You get that for free. So you can scroll down in my description box below. You'll find the link. Remember, the mobile users, you click that more button, it will expand it. And then I want to let you know that there's always a risk of investment and there is no guarantee of any kind. But go to noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call. That is 877-646-5347. Later this month, I'm going to interview again the CEO, Colin Plume of Noble Gold Investments. You'll be able to see him, ask questions, and learn all about what they have to offer. Friends, let's talk about the breaking news. I have to hand it to my husband, Pastor David, because I do not have a news app on my phone. I try to kind of stay away from the news, if you know what I'm talking about. You lovely, healthy Americans send me a lot of links. You ask me to cover certain stories, and then my hubby will tell me what's trending. And this story you've been asking me to cover, and he also said, oh, did you hear the House has passed these two bills? Now, I know that you're smart, up-to-date, educated, healthy Americans, and you know that we have two houses in our legislative body in the federal government. We have the House of Representatives and we have the Senate, and together they must pass these bills. And they can go back and forth and they can originate in one house or the other. There are some regulations about that, but the basic idea is that both houses have to agree and settle and pass a bill that then goes to the president's desk to be signed into law. How likely do you think it is that is going to happen with these two bills? Number one was about just ending the unending emergency, because they go on. I don't think we should ever end it. Just keep it going. Then you never have to call a new one, right? And they can continue to do all of their hogwashing and get people more and more conditioned to it. So that would be one easy way to just keep it going. Because after all, what they say about 2 weeks to slow the spread, it's the first 3 years that are the hardest. Now it should be smooth sailing. So the other bill that they have passed in the House is to have the Medicare and Medicaid services, it's called CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, have them repeal their regulations that are requiring the cooties cocktail and frequent testing and all that other jazz for healthcare professionals. As an extension of that, a lot of states are also requiring that patients in these settings suffocate themselves, undergo the nasal assault, and hopefully no one is being required to become a human pincushion in order to get medical care. So I do have some good news for you about that. I'm going to read to you a first-person story about a lovely woman that helped an elderly relative with dementia, and I want to tell you exactly what happened and what she did. So I want you to follow these steps that she learned through the Healthy American, and you can as well. So here's the deal with CMS. Let me know if you are a medical professional. And I also want to let you know that regardless of these egregious, absurd, in my view, illegitimate and unlawful requirements for you to undertake a medical intervention that you don't want to, certainly in the absence of disease. I don't care how safe and effective it is. And those, not you, but all y'all out there that are fixated and obsessed with the side effects and how many, anyway, none of that matters to me. In the sense, it matters to me because I care about those lives that were unnecessarily lost. But what I mean is that the safety and the effectiveness has no bearing on your rights. And so those that are in the spin cycle of, well, if it's only safer and they had done more studies and it wasn't vetted enough and there needs to come out with new technology, there needs to be new technology. None of that matters. You have rights that cannot be violated, and they are being violated when you don't know how to stand up for yourself. And even when you do, just like there are criminals out there, murder is illegal. People are murdered every day. Babies are murdered in the womb, and it's allowed by states. It's promoted by states. So yes, there are evil doers and criminals out there, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't stand up for your rights. So even those of you that are, and I don't mean even those of you, but everyone, including those who are in the medical profession, you have a right of no consent. You have a right of no consent on so many levels. You have a right of no consent just because of your own conscience, that you have the right to refuse any medical intervention that you do not consent to, period. And there are all sorts of laws that protect that. There are federal laws, there are state laws. It's not the Nuremberg Code. Please do not invoke that. In my view, it weakens your position because, number one, the Nuremberg Code is not a law. If it was a law, it would be spelled L-A-W, and it would be codified in the either federal law in the United States or your state laws. In California, it explicitly says that the Nuremberg Code is not recognized as a law in the state of California. However, the principles have inspired other laws. But there are other codes of law that you can invoke. So I would not rely on the Nuremberg Code. It also edges us closer to this idea of international law that somehow applies to the United States. No, it doesn't. I've done several videos about this, and I understand that people invoke it. I'm not denying the importance of the principles that are stated in the Nuremberg Code. There are 10 principles. I've done many videos about this, but I'm just giving you a general picture that there are many federal and state laws. We don't need the international laws. We don't need any kind of global health movement to help you. I reject all of that globalism. I favor localism, and localism begins with you, with your actions, with your choices, with your decisions that you need to own. It breaks my heart when I hear and I read comments on this, on my page, where people are saying, I had to do this. Friends, you may have felt compelled. You may have felt coerced. You may have felt intimidated, discriminated against, pressured. Yes, I agree with you. But I've also helped hundreds of thousands of people who were in the same situation and they did not comply. They chose to go a different way, which may have included losing their job. But listen, just because you comply doesn't mean you're going to keep your job. There are plenty of stories that I know of as well. One that sticks with me very vividly is a nurse who came. Actually, she told me her story and she hadn't come to me for help, unfortunately. She was put on unpaid leave by her hospital. This is over a year ago, completely illegal. She didn't know that she had the right to apply for unemployment. Remember, unemployment is not for a lost job only, it is for lost wages. So when you are no longer being paid, even if you are employed, you have the right to apply for unemployment. And trust me, they're going to strong arm you there. I know plenty of people that had to appeal the unemployment rejection, and many of them were successful. Some of them had to go to an even higher level. But remember, you are standing up for yourself and you are educating others all along the way. This poor woman came back to me and said that she emailed me and she said that she was a single mom raising a young teenager and she had to pay her rent. So she went ahead and she complied and she got the jab and she went back to work. And in a very short period of time, she was fired anyway for some other reason. So they say. Now, she can go through all of the rigmarole of trying to get an attorney to represent her for wrongful termination. Trust me, I'm in the midst of a 2-year-long lawsuit. So that is not necessarily the way that you always want to go. Finding another job. In fact, I'm going to do a private class on how to get a job without a jab. And we'll talk all about employment law and how that relates to you, Title VII and other protections. I'm not an attorney. I don't give legal advice, but I do provide you with education. And together we go through the EEOC and the technical guidance manual, and you will learn about your rights and how to stand up for yourself, especially when you're applying for a new job. So your job is never secure, ever. And why in the world would you want to work in the sea of evil with people that are pressuring you, coercing you, harassing you, discriminating against you? I would not want to be there. Now, some of you have told me that you believe God placed you there to be that bright light. And I think that's amazing. And I applaud you for that. These are choices that only you can make. I counseled a woman yesterday who has been hired as a nurse for a hospital, and all throughout the prior 2 years of hogwash, she worked in home health care and some other private placements, and they did not push any of this rigmarole at all. So now that she's going to a major hospital, of course, they want her to comply with everything. So she reached out to me for help. And everyone has the right to do a medical exemption. I do not counsel on medical exemptions, but you also have the right to do a religious exemption. You do not need to belong to a church, an organized religion. It can be your own personal beliefs that occupy a place in your life that would be on par with a traditional religion. If you have a set of ethical and moral beliefs that are all encompassing and direct your daily choices, and you can express your views in such a way that those that are receiving your information and those that are educated through as I educate others on this regarding Title VII protections, the law is on your side and truth is on your side. So even those of you that are doing patient care, that are face-to-face with patients, that are doing surgeries, I have helped doctors, anesthesiologists, respiratory therapists, A to Z. People that work in the medical profession have successfully gotten exemptions. Now, there have been those that haven't, not because of any fault of the employee, but because they are dealing with evil and evildoers. And many people have told me that they are glad that they found another place to work that was even better. So I just want to let everyone know that even if, and it's likely that it won't go any further, this bill that was passed in the House, you still have protections. The other thing I want to say is that I don't even know what to call my husband said if Biden is a robot, AI has a long way to go. So whatever it is occupying the White House, that individual has stated that cooties will magically end on May 11th. Now, you know, and I know that it's probably May 11th of 2025, but it doesn't matter. And I want you to go in confidence that you do not need to comply with any of these illegal measures. But I also want to tell you this, even if the cooties ends on May 11th, because, you know, you can schedule those kinds of things. So when it's scheduled to end, then that does not necessarily have any impact on those of you that work in the medical settings, because those regulations that were put forth by CMS, I think those are scheduled to go until 2025. So there needs to be another action taken by CMS. And hopefully my goal and my vision is that as more and more people are standing up for their rights, as the cooties emergencies are ending, California has scheduled the ending for the end of February. Incidentally, the same day that my lawsuit was rescheduled for. I did an entire 45-minute video to let you know all about you know that song. And that's just what comes to mind when I think about the performers in this performance at the county with my lawsuit. So this is so orchestrated, you know it, and I know it. But aside from that, I want to help you with some actual strategies. So let's dive into that. The other thing that's going to happen is when this cooties emergency ends, that means all of the free testing will end. Some of you have been paying for it. I know your employer has made you do that. They need to pay for it. Anything that your employer requires you to do, they pay for. And anyone who is being charged more for their medical insurance because they are a pureblood, that is discrimination. That's like being charged more for medical insurance because of the color of your skin or your accent or the color of your or your ethnic background or what have you. Those are all protected classes. So you cannot be treated differently because of your medical status, because of your religious beliefs, your ethical and moral views. It is illegal to classify you, separate you, segregate you. I want to help you with this, friends. Stay tuned. Get on my newsletter. It's free. It's over at thehealthyamerican.org. Also get on my Substack. That is a free service where I have written articles and I go on deep dives. A lot of what I talk about in the videos, it's in a written form with more added information. And in the newsletter, I will let you know when that class is going to be offered in terms of getting a job or staying at your job without the jab. We'll just do a standalone class. I've got thousands of hours of information in my VIP program. And many of you have said, Peggy, can you simplify it? I just need this information. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, here we go. This was a lovely letter written a couple of weeks ago from a healthy American here in California. And she says, Dear Peggy, at the beginning of the hogwash, which we typically cite as March 2020, although we now understand that it wasn't really the beginning. It goes much further back than that, as you know and I know. She says, I knew something was off when the states limited the number of people who could attend church services, and then they closed the churches altogether. She said, I did fall into the general fear, and I did do the suffocation device for a couple of months. Slowly, as summer 2020 progressed, I realized the utter ridiculousness of the devices, and I began bravely cheating. First by, I would put on the device, I would pull it down for short bits of time at the grocery store. And then she says, in July of 2020, I heard your interview with Robin Openshaw, who was the green smoothie girl. And you were on her podcast, and my life was changed. My verbal reply to everything you said as I listened was, that's right. And I have closely followed you ever since. You are the only one out there who teaches practicable, I like that word. Did I pronounce it correctly? Real life actions that anyone can legally, individually take. Friends, I need to stop right there. Everything I teach is about something you do. It is far more effective for you that are listening, to individually stand up and to live in freedom than to join some national movement that may or may not even have an impact. And then again, you're giving away your responsibility if you think that some national movement is going to take care of it for you. It's not. I've lived in freedom all these 3 years. I've made some sacrifices. There were things that I chose not to do. And I certainly chose not to do any of the cooties hogwash. Hashtag never have, never will. No suffocation device, no testing, and certainly no becoming a human pincushion. I am not interested in any of that whatsoever. So she said, again, that my tips have helped her learn what she could do legally and individually in order to claim or reclaim our God-given liberty. She said, you supplied me with the tools I needed to stand up to the hogwashers around me. I am so very thankful you have fearlessly communicated the actual laws that support individual choice, including the reality that these illegal policies do not apply to me. Hallelujah. That's exactly it. Anything a governor tells you to do has no impact on you. Anything a president tells you to do has no impact on you. Now, the president has directed Medicare and Medicaid and, other departments in his executive branch to do things, but you don't work in and if you work in the executive branch, then I guess it does apply to you, but you also have your remedies. She says, your hard work and sacrifice shored up my confidence based on truth to stand up to my school board and inform them that their forced suffocation of little children was so very wrong and it was against the law. Even though my words fell on deaf ears, I needed solid facts to do that because I am a teacher at that very school. While others suffocated themselves, I did not. There you go. She stood up. She says, I live in Northern California. Remember, it's not Cali. I live in Northern California, about 80 miles north of Sacramento. So it will not surprise you that only a few short weeks ago, I was denied a bone scan at a medical facility. I went through all the steps you outlined that one may lawfully take. And get this, friends, I love this part right now. She says, after the hospital, in association with the clinic, had a meeting with its patient services director. All right. That's an important person to write down, an important title to write down. The patient services director, the infectious diseases director, the vice president of the hospital, and the hospital attorneys. They agreed with me that I had the lawful religious exemption from the suffocation device. They also committed to re-educating the entire office staff to never deny anyone medical care again. Friends, this is in California. Some of you call it California. Wow, she says, in almost 3 years, I was the only one to say no to this hospital, which services my entire county. She says, wow, on so many levels. Friends, this is a huge victory. She stood up, she educated them. Look at all the people that she brought in, all of the impact that one person had. There was no national movement behind her. There were no petitions. There was no rally. There was no protest. She educated herself and she took action. How many of you are doing that? I know you are because you're the healthy Americans. How many do you know that would rather spend their time complaining and going in the spin cycle with the fearmongers? Yeah, on YouTube, right? Here we go. In a city just over an hour north of me, just a few short days ago, my poor elderly uncle, who suffers with dementia and anxiety and cannot cover his face, he went on for an ultrasound and he was denied medical care. She writes, the veil of deception in the medical community is startling. I love that expression. I'm going to have to use that as a title for a video, the veil of deception. That's symbolic, and it's also not just figurative, but we can see that as well, literal. The veil of deception in the medical community is startling. She said, I asked to speak with the supervisor. When I suggested that she was denying medical care for my uncle, she replied, no, it's your uncle who is denying our medical care for him. Oh gosh, by not suffocating himself. Oh boy, she said. When we got home, I called the clinic and eventually got to the CEO, who, after a couple of phone calls later, allowed and agreed on an accommodation for my uncle as well. The CEO met my aunt and my uncle at the front reception desk himself. So the CEO of this MRI place met the aunt and uncle himself and escorted them personally to and from the technician's office. And then get this, friends, I just love this letter. More than once, the CEO told my aunt and uncle, "You have an incredible niece." Friends, the veil of deception is falling off because of people like this lovely, healthy American that are making the phone calls, that are standing up, that are educating people. She said, "Peggy, I could not have done any of this without you. You equipped me with the actual laws, ways to gently talk with others about truth and facts, and how to pave the way for smoother sailing, especially for others who cannot stand up for themselves, like her uncle. You have helped me help myself, and in return, help others." Because of Peggy to the rescue, I felt undaunted speaking to the CEOs, the directors, the supervisors, and my own school board members, owing to the fact that you don't bother with science, only facts and the law that is on our side. Let me focus on that for a moment. That's why I don't focus on the science and the medicine. They're going to manipulate it or change it or present it however they want to. I don't care about these claims of safe and effective. It has no impact on me. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't care if the cocktails contain Hershey's chocolate syrup and they allow you to live to be 120 without a sniffle. I ain't going to do it. It's my body. I'm not going to do it. No one can force me. And it doesn't matter. I do not get obsessed with all of the ingredients. And I'm never going to participate. Why do I even care? It's like I don't care about all the baseball stats and home runs and batting averages. I don't follow it. It doesn't apply to me. What does apply to me are my rights, the laws, how to, like she's saying right here. You don't talk about, oh, the suffocation device doesn't work. Well, what if they come out with evidence that it works? All bets are off. So I'm not going down that path as a lot of others are doing because you're just banging your head against the wall. No, you have a right to not do this, period. Okay. She says, so I have learned from you that you don't bother with science, only the facts and the law that is on our side. I'm so very thankful that God has equipped you to be a teacher, to boldly dig deeper, to bravely rattle the cages, and he's given you the vision to inspire and activate others to take action. Thank you for never giving up and always finding another way. You make me want to do that too. And our lovely, healthy American ended with a Bible verse, which is Mark 4:24. This is from the English Standard Version. I also like that translation. He said to them, "Pay attention to what you hear. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you, and still more will be added to you." So that is so inspiring. I thank all of you that are sending me your letters. In my video yesterday, I've got bins. I've got a stack of bins here. I've got a stack of bins there. My entire dining room table is filled with letters and boxes and cards and thank you notes. And my lovely Rhonda, who is a moderator here, has been helping me stay organized and with all of these thank you notes and so forth. I am so grateful to all of you. And I've said to Rhonda, let's give her a round of applause, Valerie, who is such an encourager here in our community, our Healthy American community. I could not do it without you, friends. My number one job, I believe, that God has put me here to do, aside from educating and equipping and empowering, is really encouragement, because of people like this lovely, healthy American and all of you that tune in day out, nearly all every day. For my videos, many people are falling off the radar. They're getting tired. I've mentioned that there were many freedom fighters and freedom people that I met at these board meetings and other rallies and events and so forth early on, never heard from them again Even some of the prominent figures, it's like, where have they gone? Where are their websites? People have sent me cards and, different business cards and things. And I go online, and again, it may be that the powers that be took them down, but there have been many that had, let's just say, energy and dedication and determination, but it wears you down. So my job here is really to encourage you to keep going, keep taking action. I did a video on Monday on my other channel here on YouTube called Living Swell with Peggy Hall. Link is in the description box below. It's all about positive encouragement. We just lightly touch on the current events, but it's an opportunity to take a break from all the hogwash and to talk about how to keep going, how to encourage yourself, how to keep your head above these waves in these stormy seas, so that we can find that smoother sailing and brighter days ahead. So encouragement is key. Your cards, your letters, your prayers encourage me greatly. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I have the best audience on YouTube. You're smart, you're savvy, you're supportive, and you're a little bit snarky, just like I am. Speaking of snark, I've got a video planned for you tomorrow all about the, how do I put it? The Pfizer whistleblower. Yeah, he needs to take better acting lessons. I'll just put it that way. A lot of you aren't going to like what I'm going to expose in that video, but that's okay. I'm all about digging deeper and critical thinking. And again, I don't know the exact truth of what went on there, but I do have some questions. And often the questions are more important than the answers, because it keeps us digging, it keeps us curious, and it keeps us not just accepting hook, line, and sinker what all the hogwashers are peddling. I'm not saying anything about that until I reveal it for you tomorrow. I'm just saying all the hogwashers out there, and we need to be on our toes to make sure that we're not swindled, snookered, and bamboozled by what the fear peddlers want to peddle. I'll just put it that way. Okay, friends, you're not going to want to miss it. Thank you, everyone, for being on board. I will take a look at all of your comments coming up. And as always, I'm over at thehealthyamerican.org. Get on all the free Substack, free newsletter, and always here back with you at 5 p.m.